Hi everybody, Sala here from Gardens Ahead, and we have traveled all the way to day 7 of Junk Journal July UK challenge, and today's prompt is buttons, which I have plenty of in here. I am so grateful that you decided to join me today as I create this spread. Without further ado, let's make some justice for this beautiful product from Petals and Parchment this time around. This was her June's kit, I think, membership kit, and I think it's now available as a regular kit on her store, and I will link it down below. Let's get crafty! So I'm doing a few different things today. Here I have the kit all sorted out next to me. I also have some sewing thread and a needle because I'm going to make kind of like, I don't even know what to call it, a button card. Button card, I don't know. Kind of like the one you see imprinted on my page. That was my source of inspiration. I just made myself one that was a little bit more wild. I'm using this spool. I think those are like trim spools, something that you could put your trim around and so on. But before I get to all of that, I decided that I wanted my buttons to look just a little bit more realistic. Still papery, but realistic-er. More realistic. So I'm gluing them on a scrap piece of cardstock and then cutting them out like that. I took my crocodile and punched the holes out of the bigger pieces that I'm going to use, the bigger patterns, and then I just started playing around with the placement because I wasn't sure how I wanted to add my patterns to the card. With the smaller ones, the crocodile would have been too big, even the smaller bunch. So I just left the holes as they are because I'm going to punch them out with an owl here soon. An awl, not an owl, awl. Yes. And then I just took the smallest dobs of glue and glued my buttons on so that it's a little bit easier to work with them. Otherwise they would be flying around. I would lose my placement, which I made very random, so losing the placement probably wouldn't be much of an issue, but it's just so much nicer to work with when they stay put ish. Here you can see me punching the holes on the smaller ones and also on the bigger ones because, like I mentioned before, I wanted to sew on them, so I needed the holes to be there. Then I took some thread. Mine was really light beige color, and I think I stitched 5 times on each button that I put on the card, just to make the thread more visible as it's kind of pale. There we go. I think I only did the first one on camera because, yes, and then I'm tying it on the back. But yeah, it would have been really tiring probably to look at me stitching all of them down. So I just did that one to make sure that you see what my process was, but not to bore you to death. That's my first pocket filler. It goes into that pocket that I had ready on the page. then I started thinking about my next move and I wanted to make a tag. Elizabeth from Petals and Parchment included plenty of these tags on her kits or on her kit, like she often does. She, by the way, also provides tons of freebies on her Facebook page. So if you are on Facebook, definitely go check out her group, which is called Petals and Parchment. She these days does a monthly membership kit on Ko-Fi, and she also provides some extra pages for her members, and then she provides freebies on her group on top of all of that. She is really the sweetest person, or one of the sweetest people I have ever met. Such a great woman. She has a channel on YouTube. I will try and remember to link that down below as well. There we go. I'm just layering. I had this small piece of paper left from one of, I think I was just die cutting those scissors out of one piece of a collage paper, so I ended up with a scrap and I used that scrap right here. Then I took the button piece that was my inspiration and just a spool of thread, fussy cut, that I added in the corner. Then I wanted to add a sort of a tab or just a little something on top, so I decided to take a piece of old-fashioned ribbon and I actually tied a loose knot on it. I just thought that was a little bit more interesting, and I'm going to staple it on top of the tag, but before I did all that, I also wanted to back the tag with some coffee dyed paper to cover the white background. And of course, I think I inked around the edges. Yep, definitely. I just love that look. There we go. And now it's time to wiggle and staple that knotted piece of ribbon on top of the tag. There we go. I took the shortcut to create a pocket, so I took one of Elizabeth's pieces, one of the pockets that she included in the kit as well, folded the tabs on the back, did some inking, and then glued it on the page. I could have done the decorating before I glued it, but I don't think it makes much of a difference, so I often just glue the pockets on and then worry about the decorating. At least the pocket will then stay where it is and it won't keep on sliding everywhere. I added just a piece of vintage lace, and after that I decided to also add a little collage on top of the pocket just for some added detail. There we go. And in goes the tag, and I also decided to use another one of those spools from the kit. I have already backed them up with a page from the same kit, so they are nice and sturdy. I think they look nice and they are still decorational enough to use as they come even. So I didn't add any decoration on it. If I would ever use this journal, and the odds are that I won't, just because, like I've mentioned here before, for me, these journals are all about the creative process. They rarely really go into any actual use. I wanted to slide the button that I'm using for the collage under the spool, so when I uh, glued the spool down, I only pressed one side down at first, and then slided the button under it and pressed both of them down at the same time. And isn't that small piece of vintage sewing machine so cute? It's also from the kit. This piece was actually from her freebie, the paper that I'm using here. It was a sewing themed folio that she shared, and I honestly think this piece of paper is one of my all time favorites of every paper that I've ever seen. I don't know why. I find it extremely interesting. It has details. It's kind of like collage style. I'm probably going to be using it a lot, and I already have. So there we go. There is a tutorial on my channel putting the folio together if you decided to join Elizabeth's Facebook group and get the folio for yourself. I think the folio is actually available in her coffee shop as a freebie as well. So she often shares them in both places because Facebook makes the quality of the images that are shared there a little bit weaker, or they just come out a bit more blurry. So in Coffee, she is able to provide them in a better quality, basically. I also decided to add some lace on this side of the spread, and I added it in a way where it actually shows on the other side of that smaller page as well. Here I'm starting to layer things. To be honest in advance, I've been really honest in these videos, haven't I? uh, this is not my favorite collage. It's not the favorite piece that I've ever made. I think I spread it out a little bit too much, and it became too much of I don't even know what. But I ended up gluing a button at the end, and I think that made it a little bit easier. And yes, not an actual button, but just tiny papery button from the same kit. Here you can see me just putting things down one by one, and that was way too high, so I ended up tracking it through the page, like you can see here. It's a small miracle that my glue decided to let me do that. Usually, if I put something down, it stays down. So I got really lucky with that one. Then there was this beautiful sewing lady in a long dress that I used, and then I think that's maybe an older lady, so I'm kind of imagining it's the same person when she was younger and then when she was older, or maybe because that is like black and white, maybe that's her mother and now her daughter is sewing as well. I don't know. It's fun to think about stories when it comes to these collages. Then I just took my prompt, included it in the collage, like that. I glued it on, and then the yellow, I think that's like a needle package kind of. That's what it presents. But I still felt like something was missing, so I took the pink button and I started to just move it around to find the right placement for it. And I eventually put it down there. And I think it fits. Now it kind of like ties the two pages together with bringing some pink and also a button to that page as well. Here is the finished spread. I hope you like it. If you do, please give this video a thumbs up, leave me a kind comment below, and check out my channel if you are not subscribed yet. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you will be joining me for tomorrow's video as well. Thank you, have a lovely day, and happy crafting. Bye bye.